From 10 to 100, from 100 to 1,000, from 1,000 to 10,000. Sipjin originates from this Sipjin principle, which expands into infinity. The progress line of Sipjin Pumse represents training, which expands infinitely like a number, and the hope for longevity like the 10 symbols of longevity. From Tao, it is the character Sip, meaning 10. We will now take a look at the key moves of Sipjin Pumse. Sipjin Pumse consists of 10 key moves, namely 황소막기, 손바닥 걷으러 바깥막기, 편성끝 엎어찌르기, 바위 밀기, 손날 등 헤쳐막기, 끌어올리기, 잿다리 지르기, 변손 엇고로 아래막기, 손나 등 고드로 막기, and 고드로 등주먹 앞치기. We will now take a closer look at each of the key moves of Sipjin Pumse. 황소막기 is a technique used to move the two outer wrists up to block simultaneously. Twist your wrist so that the back of the fist faces downward at the lower abdomen. Raise your fists up to your face, then snap your elbow to block upward. When blocking, the fist should be placed obliquely above the elbow. The space between the back of the wrist and forehead should be about one raised fist length. The distance between the fists should be the same. Close both your elbows and chest to stabilize the shoulders and shoulder blades. Keep the arms that performed 황소막기 firm. Close your chest and be mindful not to let your elbow open backwards. 손바닥 걷으러 바깥막기 is a technique used to perform 안팔목 바깥막기 by placing the whole palm of the other hand on the outer wrist. This technique is typically used to perform a strong block with assistance from one arm against a strong attack, then quickly connect to the next move. The tip of the middle finger of the opposite hand starts at the wrist of the blocking arm. Next, gather all your fingers and attach them to the outer wrist. Both elbows should face downward, and the armpits should be touching the body. The armpit of the assisting arm should not be away from the body. 편성끝 엎어지르기 is a technique to strike at an opponent's pressure points by gathering the forefingers straight with the palm facing downward. You can attack a pressure point with a strong force as the contact surface of the target becomes smaller when struck with your gathered forefingers. This move transfers a strong force. Be careful to keep the forefingers aligned to avoid injuries to the finger joints. Pay attention to keeping the fingers gathered to protect the joints, and be careful not to let the elbow open outside in order to perform 엎어지르기 accurately. 바위밀기 is a technique where you open your hands and gather them at the back, twist back, then push in a straight line using your palms. Bend the wrists naturally and keep your thumb close to your hand. Your left arm is placed obliquely with the space of one handspan between the back of your hand and forehead. Your right hand is symmetrically placed slightly below your left hand with a one-fist space between. Opening the elbow weakens the shoulder, so exert force while you tighten the elbows and straighten the body. Perform this move slowly, exerting force on the lower abdomen with your eyes forward. The elbows should not open backwards. The torso must not tilt to one side, and the wrist and elbow should not be straight when the move is completed. 손날등 헤쳐맞기 is a technique used to block inside out by opening the two hands using the back of the hand blade. You can use the back of the hand blade to strike and block, absorb and block, and wind and grab an opponent's arm. Your elbow should face downward, and your armpit should lightly touch the body. The tip of your hand must not rise above your shoulder. Your armpit should not open due to your elbow rising or moving far away from the body. The back of your hand blade must go outside the shoulder line. 끌어올리기 is a technique used to block upward or brush aside an opponent's attack using the inner wrist. The arm performing 끌어올리기 comes near the body from below. The wrist is then twisted so the inner wrist faces upward. Then the back of it is snapped to block. The arm is not the only part used to perform this move. The flexible movement of the arm and back must also be in harmony. The opposite arm is pulled to the back at the same speed and force. The upper body must be flexible, and the lower body must stand firm. The wrist should cross the center line, and the space between the torso and arm should be about one raised fist's length. Be careful not to let the arm performing 끌어올리기 pass the waist and fall back, then pull up. 쳇다리 지르기 is a technique used to thrust forward with the two fists using the torque of the torso from 작은 돌적이. Maintain a space of about 2 fists length between the fists and thrust at the solar plexus level. Your arm should be parallel. The fist in the back should be placed on the wrist of the other arm in 앞굽이 and placed on the elbow of 뒷굽이. The elevation of the two arms must be identical, and the fists should not be placed apart too wide or narrow, maintaining a space of about 2 fists length between them. 편손 어깨로 아래맞기 is a technique to block above or below by opening the hand and crossing the wrists. The main reason for opening the hands is to deter an opponent's attack early and connecting to 잡기. Tighten your elbows and lightly attach your armpits on your body. 손나등 고도로마기 is a technique used mainly to grab an opponent and connect to another move, or to absorb and block. Perform 바깥맞기 with a hand blade with the palm of the blocking hand facing upward and make the back of the assisting hand face upward so the wrist and center line cross. Remember that the back of the assisting hand, not the palm, should face upward. The space between the assisting arm and torso should be about 1 hand length. 고도로 등주먹 앞치기. Make a fist with the assisting arm. Bend the arm and place it behind the ear level. The fist performing 등주먹 앞치기 should be placed so the arm is parallel to the opposite side of the chest. And the 앞치기 is performed with both arms moving forward along with the spin of the torso. The fist should be at the philtrum level during 등주먹 앞치기. The assisting hand should be at the solar plexus level with the back of the fist facing downward and the arm horizontal. These are the 10 key moves of Sipjin Pumse. We will now look at the moves in succession, connecting each move. The key moves of Sipjin first part consist of 황소막기, 손바닥 걷어로 왼 안팔목 바깥맞기, 오른 편손끝 엎어지르기, and double 지르기, 해초 산틀맞기, 오른 옆지르기, and 멍해치기. 손바닥 걷어로 오른 안팔목 바깥맞기, 왼편 손끝 엎어지르기, and double 지르기, 해초 산틀맞기, 왼 옆지르기, and 멍해치기. Before performing 손바닥 걷어로 왼 안팔목 바깥맞기, spread the 2 fists that performed 황소막기 about a face length apart. Then pause for a while and connect to 손바닥 걷어로 왼 안팔목 바깥맞기. We will take a look at the 오른편 손끝 엎어지르기 and double 지르기 moves in succession. Open your left fist and twist inward. Then transition from 오른 뒷굽이 to 왼 앞굽이. Connect the double 지르기 following the 오른편 손끝 엎어지르기. We will now look at each move separately. Exert force on the hand, making a fist. Then slowly open the 4 fingers. Bend your wrist inward when all fingers are open. With force still exerted on the right hand, move it to the back of your hand when the left wrist is completely twisted. Brush the right palm on the back of the left hand to perform jirugi. This is how the upper body should move during this time. Your right foot remains in place, and your left foot transitions to 앞굽이 while performing 편손끝 엎어지르기. Next, quickly connect from 편손끝 엎어지르기 to double 지르기. Remember that the spin of the left hand and the opening of the fist, the moving of the right hand over the back of the left hand, must occur simultaneously while breathing. When performing 해초 산털맞기, set your right foot forward. When performing 오른 옆지르기, move your left foot and assume the front 고아서기 posture. Set your right foot forward to assume the 주춤서기 posture. Then complete the 옆지르기 by pulling an opponent as if to cover and pull them downward with the left hand while shouting. When performing 멍해치기, turn and set your right foot inward 180 degrees. Cross your arms so your right arm faces upward and the left arm faces downward. Then strike both sides. When performing 손바닥 걷어로 오른 안팔목 바깥맞기, Move your left foot close to the right foot. Set your right foot. Then perform 왼 뒷굽이 손바닥 godoro 오른 안팔목 바깥막이. Maintain the same posture level when gathering your feet. Open your right fist and twist inward when connecting 왼 편손끝 엎어지르기 and double 지르기 in succession. Transition from 왼 뒷굽이 to 오른 앞굽이. Then quickly connect to double 지르기 after 왼 편손끝 엎어지르기. When performing 해초 산털막이 this time, set your left foot to perform the move. When performing 왼 옆지르기, move your right foot and assume the front goaseongi posture. Pull an opponent as if to cover and pull them downward with the right hand. Then complete the 옆지르기 by setting your left foot and shouting. Then perform 멍해치기 by turning and setting your right foot inward 180 degrees and crossing your arms with the left arm above and the right arm below. Cautions for Sipjin first part. Taking a closer look. When performing 왼 손바닥 godoro 안팔목 바깥막이, the armpit of the assisting arm should not move away from the body. When performing 해초 산털막이, your eyes should not be directed forward. When moving your foot to assume the front goaseongi posture during 옆지르기, your height must not change. When performing 멍해치기, the elbow must not swerve above or below, and the elbows must not move back. Your chest must be closed. When performing 손바닥 godoro 안팔목 바깥막이, be careful not to let the armpit of the assisting arm move away from the body, and maintain a posture so your height does not change when you gather your feet. When connecting 편손끝 엎어지르기 and double 지르기, be mindful of the synchronization of all moves and breathing. When changing posture from front goaseongi during 옆지르기, your elevation must not change. We will now practice the moves of Sipjin first part in succession while watching the video. The key moves of Sipjin's second part consist of 손바닥 godoro 오른 안팔목 바깥막이, 왼 편손끝 엎어지르기, and double 지르기, 왼 손아 godoro 아래막이, 바위 밀기. 손날 등 해쳐막기, 손날 아래 해쳐막기, 아래 해쳐막기, and 끌어올리기. When performing 손바닥 godoro 오른 안팔목 바깥막기, turn 90 degrees and set with your right foot as the axis. And perform 손바닥 godoro 오른 안팔목 바깥막기. Use the left ball of your foot as an axis when turning back and setting. When connecting 왼 편손끝 엎어지르기 and double 지르기, open your right fist and twist inward. Then transition from 왼 뒷굽이 to 오른 앞굽이. Perform 왼 편손끝 엎어지르기 when the fist is completely open. Then connect to double 지르기. When performing 왼손아 godoro 아래막기, set your left foot and perform 왼 뒷굽이 왼손아 godoro 아래막기. When performing pawimilgi, move your right foot and place your arms on the right side of your back. Gather your palms at the back. Exert force on the lower abdomen and slowly push forward. At the end, your hand should elevate to your forehead, and your forehead should be visible between your hands. 손아등 해초막기 is performed by crossing the right arm outside the left arm in front of the chest, then moving and setting the right foot. Slowly connect with 손날 아래 해초막기 after performing 손아등 해초막기. Cross the left arm outside the right arm in front of the chest from the 손아등 해초막기 posture, then slowly perform 아래 해초막기. When completing the 손날 아래 해초막기, slowly clench both fists and direct your eyes forward. When performing 아래 해초막기, slowly rise, extending both knees when both fists are almost clenched. Breathing and moves should coincide while keeping your eyes directed forward. Cautions for Sipjin second part. Taking a closer look. When performing 왼손아 고도로 아래막기, be careful not to let the blocking left arm move outside the left leg. When pawimilgi is completed, the wrist and elbow should not be straight, and both elbows must not open backwards. The torso must not swerve in one direction. When performing 손아등 해초막기, be careful not to let the back of the hand blade move outside the shoulder line. When performing 손날 아래 해초막기, be mindful of your breathing and the moves while staring forward. When performing 끌어올리기, the arm must not be pulled behind past the waist, then it is raised. We will now practice the moves of Sipjin second part in succession while watching the video. The key moves of Sipjin third part consist of pawimilgi, 오른 앞차기, 쳇다리 지르기, 왼 앞차기, 쳇다리 지르기, 오른 앞차기, and 오른 등주먹 꼬들어 앞치기. When performing 오른 앞차기, hold both hands and pull to the left from the pawimilgi posture. Then perform 앞차기 along with 작은 돌저귀. 앞차기 and 당겨 작은 돌저귀 must be performed simultaneously, and both arms being pulled along with the kicking foot must be harmonious in force and speed. When performing 오른 쳇다리 지르기, complete the move by twisting the back the moment the right heel touches the ground from the left back. When performing 오른 등주먹 꼬들어 앞치기, the foot that performed 오른 앞차기 must move forward more than one step and perform 찌찌기. Next, assume the 오른 뒷고아서기 posture. You must shout while this is done. Cautions for Sipjin third part. Taking a closer look. When performing 앞차기, be careful not to pull both fists for 작은 돌저귀 and then kick. Both arms should be raised to the same elevation for 쳇다리 지르기, and the space between the fists should not be too wide nor narrow. When performing 등주먹 꼬들어 앞치기, the back of the hand of the assisting arm should not face upward. We will now practice the moves of Sipjin third part in succession while watching the video. The key moves of Sipjin fourth part consist of 바위 밀기, 변손 어깨로 아래맞기, 손날 등 고도로 맞기, 잿다리 지르기, and 잿다리 지르기. When performing 변손 어깨로 아래맞기, assume the wen 범서기 posture while pulling the left foot. Both hands start at the right waist, then cross the right arm over the left arm. Cautions for Sipjin fourth part. Taking a closer look. When performing 변손 어깨로 아래맞기, be careful not to let the elbow open. When performing 손날 등 고도로 맞기, the palm of the assisting hand should not face upward. We will now practice the moves of Sipjin fourth part in succession while watching the video. This concludes the training for Sipjin Pumse. We will take another look at all the moves and master Pumse. We have looked at the key moves of Sipjin Pumse and provided thorough explanations for each move and things to watch out for. From 10 to 100, from 100 to 1,000. While training, remind yourself of the spirit of Sipjin that expands to eternity. We will see you again in the Jite Pumse video. Thanks for watching.